Hey, Mystic Michaela, spiritual family. Welcome to Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. Today, a real kind of interesting concept, ancestral trauma, what it is, how it affects you, how to recognize it and begin to explore it so as to live a bit more of an authentic life. But first, hey, Scotty.
Hey, guys. I've never heard of that topic.
So, yeah, it's been around forever.
Okay.
First of all, it's like one of those things that's new again, but honestly, it's old as time. I feel like humans have always probably recognized this in some way. But lately it's been, shown a spotlight on a bit. It's a psychological, it's also called transgenerational trauma or intergenerational trauma. It's a psychological term which basically states that trauma can be transferred in between generations. After a first generation survivor's experiences of trauma, they're able to actually transfer their trauma biologically to their offspring. But I feel like we've always had that kind of awareness as humans that what happens to the people we've never met still affects us.
I mean, I know, like, I have trauma from my parents.
We all have trauma.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Because, yes, the people that raised us programmed us. We talk about that all the time on here, programming. Right. But this is kind of like who raised them and who raised them and who raised them. And these threads that can seem so innocuous, how they pop up in your life now. So how you're subconsciously truly ruled by things that people went through that you never met and had no direct influence on you. And honestly, I think this has been around in spirituality for a long time, kind of like a spiritual DNA or, spiritual DNA.
Okay. All right, so let me just kind of get this straight. And again, if I'm coming off as mocking it a little bit, I apologize.
Okay.
So what you're basically saying is that what happens in my life today could possibly be linked back to not my parents, my parents, my grandparents, my great-great-parents, great-great-great-great-grandparents, all the way down the line. So like if someone, let's say, died in the bubonic plague in the 1300s and they were related to me, that would somehow be in my DNA or...
Well, if you think about it just logically, as a red person, logically,
right.
Like the movements of what people did 500 years ago affect you. Like you're in the United States, you know what I mean? Like what decisions they made did affect you, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so... there's other things that popped up too, like patterns of speaking or patterns of parenting or truths or, cultural influences that swept over generations of your family and how it's ingrained subconsciously into you now. I mean,
let's say like living in Eastern Europe.
Yeah. That's where your people are from.
And, being of Jewish descent.
Yeah.
Not even if they were practicing. Probably instilled a lot of fear over the centuries. Fear of like pogroms in Russia or Holocaust during World War II. And would that carry down is what you're kind of saying?
We're very skeptical of things.
Yes.
Like you are, I don't see, you've had family die from, in the Holocaust. You've had that, maybe you never met them.
No.
But how does it influence you today? Like, just from me seeing you, and it's not even things that you might even link, but just me knowing you, like, you cannot deal with religion. Like, you right? I mean...
Yeah, and let me preface that. I'm not talking about, like, spirituality or God or anything like that, but organized religion and me do not mix.
Like, you respect people that practice.
Sure.
Like, 100%. Like,
100%.
You worked shoulder to shoulder with them. You were teaching in a private Jewish school for years.
Yes, I did. And, again, I'm not religious at all. Teaching there, and I did 2 stints at 2 different Jewish schools.
And these were, like, Orthodox. Like, these were...
very, very religious. But that, and again... 100% respect of it. Never said a bad word about it. But I didn't get it myself. Yeah. And I always felt kind of like teaching at those schools, even though I'm Jewish myself, I felt like an outsider. I felt like I did not belong there. Like maybe I had the imposter syndrome when I was teaching there.
That's interesting.
Because religion to me, I don't understand it. I don't get it.
Well, I feel like that's from just the way that... For me, when just knowing you know what I mean? And these are things like we all have to explore in ourselves. Yep. Like, I feel like that's your combating the whole, I guess, the way society treated the Jewish people. And then you're kind of like, listen, I'm going to break away from it in a way to kind of see the bigger picture. I mean, also you went into history. You're such a history buff.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, and that would actually make even maybe more sense than that. I was always fascinated with the rise of Hitler and how he came to power.
Yeah.
I took, like, in college and my master's, I took classes specifically just on the time period of the 1920s to 1933 when Hitler took power in Germany. So, and I was always fascinated by that. I wasn't really so much fascinated with the war itself, like all the battles. That wasn't my thing. But the way that he was able to come to power, and the rhetoric and all that he did, that always fascinated me.
Yeah, and you told me that, like, just how could people let this happen? And you were fascinated with the psyche and the psychology behind it. So I'm not, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's probably, I mean, it's interesting, but to me, I'm not, like, fascinated. Maybe more people should be. But, like, my point is that this just doesn't come from nowhere. Like,
Yeah,
and also you get really stressed out when you see other people acting like that, or when there's whispers or societal shifts or changes, you'll be like, oh, whoa, wait a second. It's like red flag, red flag, red flag.
Right.
You get hyper about it, even like hyper aware, hypersensitive. I mean, where does that come from?
Yeah. I mean, that now that you're saying that makes 100% sense.
Yeah. And it's a big part of your personality, kind of this aware, and you really want to spread it to the kids, especially Brie, like, because she kind of gets it. So you really want to spread it to her. You're always educating us. Yeah, I mean, I
guess I always put it to the reason why, like, let's say for, like, going back to the religious aspect, that, I always felt like, why should there be something in between me and spirituality or God or whatever you want to call it?
Sure.
Why is there a middleman? Why does there have to be someone who has to tell me what I have to do to get to that point? Why can't I just do that myself? But I always thought that was more my red, like, being the red aura.
Yeah.
That I'm independent thinking, and I don't like to have anyone in between me and my belief.
Well, yeah, does
that tie in, or
sure does.
These two things go together?
I mean, aura colors are our filters. Like, we're all going to deal with these things in different ways based on aura colors. You get a little bit more, like, aggressive or confrontational about it, and that's, like, your issue with control.
Okay.
You don't like people. I mean, that's just how I don't want to tell you about you, but that's how I see you.
Yeah.
But I can see, like, just even when things, I mean, I just know you, and this isn't even something that you'd even talk about. I remember, like, when you would come home from the unit, it's funny because you didn't have to teach about the Holocaust when you were working in the Jewish schools, like, so much. Like, you would brush over it. Like, they got that.
Right.
But when you taught at Holland,
yes,
which was a school in Western New York, some of the kids didn't know what the Holocaust was. I remember that week, whatever that unit was, you were a different person when you came home every day. And I know not from you, because your kids would talk to me, you'd blast Hitler's speeches. So, like, they were on, and the whole hallway heard it. And you wanted them to feel that. And you got this whole rally about genocide going. And then I think at the time, there was a terrible genocide going on the time.
Yeah, in Darfur, Africa.
Yeah, and they started, like, the kids started rallying and getting very upset about Darfur. Yeah. And they were organizing things, and you were helping them. I mean, I don't think other people would be that fired up if not for the trauma ancestrally that is, it's a channel for you.
That could be. I mean, look, when I did that unit, I went all in on that unit. Yeah. And it lasted longer than it probably needed to last, or maybe not, actually, when I think about it. And I used to actually show, and I would tell the kids, if you want to leave the room now,
like, trigger warning,
you go leave the room.
Yeah.
And some kids would leave. And I would actually show footage of the Holocaust. They have all of it. You could just go on YouTube and put it in. And you could see everything. Yeah. Everything is shown. The bodies piling up, all the crematoriums, the ovens, all that stuff. Dachau. You can just see it. It's there to be viewed.
Wow.
And I would show those videos. A lot of times, actually, I walked out of the room myself because I couldn't handle it anymore. Yeah. So I would show the video, and I'm saying, I'm leaving the room. You guys can leave too. I'd say, right outside the door. I didn't leave them all alone, but because I couldn't handle it anymore myself.
Yeah.
But I would actually go in, and I would. Oh man, this is bringing back memories. I should probably just go back to teach 1 week a year just to do this.
You should. I mean, honestly.
Because I went much deeper than the curriculum wanted. I would go through what the doctors did, how they made people into furniture. So. Lamps, shades, all these things, the experiments they did. So I would go through all that. It's pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that you're right. I mean, I guess now that you pointed this out to me, I just That makes sense.
And I just have to make a point, like, and I know your parents, and like, yes, they're very, I don't feel like, you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
They didn't go that deep in your own upbringing with discussing it. Like, I feel like it was like
No.
well known, but like they weren't bringing up like, hey, everybody, we're watching this document. You know what I mean? Like, this comes from somewhere else. You know what I mean?
I mean, the only thing I say, I do recall my dad always saying, always asking the question, like, how did that happen? How does that happen?
Yeah.
And you can, even living in 2021, you could see how it could happen.
Sure.
And, I'm not going to get political here, but you can see how it could happen.
Yeah.
And
scary.
It's scary.
It is scary.
Yeah. It just takes the right personality and the right situation, the right economic situation.
Wow.
And it could happen.
So when we talk about ancestral trauma, I feel like I see that. That's where I see it pop up in you, and I see it in your parenting with the kids too. Like, question things. Think for yourself.
Yes.
Listen, like, look around you, see what's going on. Take a step out from the government. Look at what's going. Just think for yourself.
Yeah, that's like always been my biggest thing. Just think
for yourself. And I think that's the thing with religion too. Like, you just want do what you do, but please think for yourself.
Right. That's always been my problem with it because even if you go back to, like, let's say, not to make fun of the Catholic Church or anything, but they would do the, and again, we're going a little historic here.
Right.
They would do the sermons, not in the vernacular, not in the language.
Yeah.
Now we're going back to medieval times. Not in the vernacular. They would do it in Latin.
Yeah.
So let's say you're in France. You don't speak Latin anymore.
Yeah.
You speak French. They would do the sermon in Latin and just expect you just to agree with whatever the priest or whoever the bishop said.
That's pretty recent, though. Honestly. But my parents, when they just shifted over when my parents were young to English. They would do it in English or like whatever your language was, the vernacular, like you said. But like they remember learning Latin or hearing all the sermons in Latin and everything.
Yeah. So I mean, so basically, what they were asking you to do is just say, okay, not put faith in God, put faith in the person giving the sermon, or the church,
obviously,
and I can't do that because that's man.
Yeah,
I can't do that. I could do it in a higher power, but I can't do it on someone who's on the same plane as me.
You can adulate a human,
right?
The way that they're asking you to,
right? I mean, then we did the just to make it a little bit lighter. We did the royals.
Oh, don't get them started on the royals,
and I can't.
All roads lead to the royals.
I can't get behind, whatever, whoever it is, Prince Harry or whatever. He's not a prince anymore. The Queen or whatever. I can't get behind it because, in essence, you have to believe that they were ordained by God. And until you show me that document signed by God, I can't believe it. All right.
That. I love that.
I think we need to do a couple of ads.
Let's do a couple of ads.
And then we got a really deep dive into this.
Okay.
And then I think at the end, some of the Mystic Michaela spiritual family members did a fun thing on the page in the group. And I think to lighten it up, we'll go with that.
No, this is really funny. I can't wait to do that at the end.
All right.
But first, here's the thing. You might have somebody in your life who's a little resistant to the idea of therapy. That person might be you. Okay, that's okay. There's a really easy and not stressful way to get therapy right now, and that's BetterHelp. It's totally okay to talk about our mental health and happiness. You're not meant to keep everything on the inside. It makes you sick, and therapy helps. And sometimes people in our life are a little nervous too. Do things, sit in a waiting room, go meet somebody face to face, fill out the paperwork, go see the secretary. They get stressed out. Well, guess what? You can do this in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. It's all right at your fingertips because BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to, or you can. It's up to you, but it's at home. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy. Really is. And you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. They're so quick on there. They're really quick on the app. They really care, and you can tell. You join the millions of people who are seeing what therapy is really about. See if it's for you because you are your greatest asset. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. I really appreciate them. And Know Your Aura listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/KYA. That's BetterHelp.com/KYA and get 10% off your first month. Give it a shot. Maybe that person in your life will take that shot too. It's so stressful. That credit card statement every month that you don't really feel like looking at, but it keeps coming. And just that heaviness when you see it on the table and you're like, that thing. And you just pay off like the tiniest bit so it goes away.
Now, here's a good thing.
Okay.
Speaking of ancestral trauma,
God.
it's a good thing that credit cards are... that they don't get passed down from generation to generation. So you can't take on your great-great-grandfather's debt.
That is good.
So that's good.
Yeah. I wonder if that was different generations had that issue, though. I don't know.
Yeah. Actually,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Great.
Well, they use debtor's prison, things like that.
Thank God that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But Upstart does exist. Upstart is the fast and easy way to pay off your debt with a personal loan, all online. Just get that paid off. Oof, feels so good. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get a simple, fixed monthly payment. Unlike under other lenders, Upstart looks at more than just your credit score, like your income and employment history. This means that they can offer smarter rates with trusted partners. With a 5-minute online rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans between $1,000 to $50,000, and you can receive funds as fast as one business day after accepting your loan. So find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/KYA. That's upstart.com/KYA. Don't forget to use our URL to let them know we sent you, and we so much appreciate when you do that. Helps us out so much. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. So go check it out, upstart.com/KYA.
All right, so let's get on with it. Let's talk a little bit
about it.
Ancestral trauma.
Okay. If you've ever had a reading with me, the first thing I do is look at your aura. But then as I go on, I almost always, if you didn't give me a picture of your family, I'll ask for it. And it's because, how you were raised and the environment matters. Like how you were raised matters. Obviously, it creates patterns in you. And they're patterns that it's hard to differentiate when it comes time to live your authentic life. It's just how it goes. Humans raise humans. Humans aren't perfect. Humans have issues. And they kind of pass them on. And that's okay. They don't mean to. It's what we do. It's what we do with it that matters. But today I'm talking about basically that, but on a much bigger scale. Ancestral trauma. The people you haven't even met. And how they've affected you today, generations ago. Yes, it still exists in your trauma and your patterns right now, today. In the Kids Aura episode I did, episode number 78, I briefly touched about this. I touched on ancestral trauma. And the way I approached it in that particular podcast was basically a suggestion to challenge some of the adages that make their way into our parenting practices. Because, not all those adages are ours or relevant to now. And even though society does play a role, there is a lot of generational trauma that's passed down, generation to generation, that's presently still happening. And is, in fact, creating a life for that trauma to be relived without any sort of context or reality or understanding. And I kept it pretty simple in that episode because that episode was already quite extensive. But I think I used the example, clean your plate. You have to eat everything on your plate. I think either that was our family growing up telling us that, or somebody who kind of dealt with that, or you see it happening now with kids around you. Yes, here's the thing with clean your plate. And this is just a very simple example. If you are in a position where what is on that plate for dinner is all you're going to get until the next meal comes, it makes sense for the person raising you to be like, listen, clean your plate. But if you're not, and this is something that you were made to do, and now it's something that's forced, and it's something, maybe your parent, for whatever reason they can't describe, thinks, okay, this is how you're a good parent. This is how you teach your child about gratitude and not being wasteful and appreciation and whatnot. And none of that's not going to work. That's a traumatic thing. Maybe grandpa didn't have enough to eat, and that's what you heard growing up, and then that's what you're being taught, and then that's what you're teaching your kid. It's not relevant anymore. And what happens is in that moment, your kid is smart, okay? And they look around and they see the pantry's full. You don't finish everything you're eating. And this is a power trip. And then they get self-destructive or they do other things. And it propels this trauma forward until someone breaks the chain. And in that episode, I said, like, I see a lot of disordered eating or like self-destructive issues when you're forcing kids to finish food. And it's just something that I used as a very simple coverall. But the thing is patterns in the way that we're raising people last for a really long time. And trauma from the past doesn't go away. It shows up in these little tiny forms, like clean your plate. When great grandpa had some sort of poverty, food insecurity issue. And now in 2021, your 6-year-old is reliving that trauma. It has nothing to do with him. And that probably happened to you too. It happened to all of us. And so basically ancestral trauma is a much broader scope to cover. There are layers to it. There is your family and the events which have happened to your ancestors in terms of just like interpersonal relationships, addiction, abuse, poverty, endlessly. These is such a broad scope. And there are wide sweeping ones in terms of culture, racism, immigration, refugees, wars. I mean, you name it, trauma. And there's lots of layers. There's lots of ways it can happen. There's lots of things that can affect generations of people from the past to today. And there's so many horrific situations you can see in all the time. You just take a look on the news, look at kids at the border, refugees, children left with nothing, wars, crumbling building, just death and sadness. And what relevance is exploring their own ancestral trauma to them at this moment? You think about it like, okay, how can their lives get better? And that's the thing. There are things that are not possible in your own lifetime. That's true. Like when you see these people suffering, they might not have an opportunity to heal anything. They're surviving. And in your past, in your ancestral lineage, there were people surviving and they didn't have a chance to do any of this. And so all I can think of when I see people suffering like that is the generations and time it will take to touch any of it, heal any of it. And that's if they even have a chance to do it. Because you know what? Not everyone does. That's true. If you have a chance to heal it right now, if you are in a place in life where you can even do this a little bit, address it, see it, listen to this podcast about it, how blessed you are. How blessed I feel right now to be able to be talking about this. And the point of it is, and this is why this is a big thing. Like when you are better, you can help others. It's not selfish to invest in yourself. It's not selfish to invest in your own healing of traumas. I want you to know that. So if you have guilt about it, which honestly I do, I'll admit it, I give guilt. I feel very privileged to be able to sit here and talk about these things. Or, when you see, like I said, kids on the news with nothing, oh my God, it's not insignificant, though, and I have to remind myself that, and I have to remind you that, and I'll tell you why. Because like I said, when you get better, you will be better. You will be better for others, and there's a payment to it. And the payment is you have to pay it forward somehow. We have to pay it forward somehow, and we will. And we will. So make that promise to yourself, and then use your energy to make yourself better. Okay, I had to bring that up because I don't know about you, but sometimes when I talk about things like ancestral trauma, I just don't want to spiritually bypass the reality of what people are actually going through, and they're surviving and they're living in it, and it's not going to get better in this lifetime. And how blessed we are if we have an opportunity to fix it a little bit in our own lifetime. Okay. Back to the topic. You can tell this is why I've avoided this for so many episodes. This is very broad. Okay. There are so many factors which bring the trauma from, past, even before we were born, way before we were born, and create it as present. So how do we honor what our ancestors have gone through? How do we keep the lessons close and make sure we also keep them from being present today in ways that are not applicable? That's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how this works scientifically, how this works spiritually, how you can take control now a little bit, and how you can incorporate it into your spiritual development. So, what is ancestral trauma? So, there was a study done in 2001 by Kellerman showing that the offspring of Holocaust survivors had a higher risk of suffering from PTSD, low self-esteem, and just like poor health in general. These weren't the ones that were in the Holocaust. These were the ones that were the offspring, children, and grandchildren of the people who survived the Holocaust. There is another study done by Yehuda in 2015 showing that there is, in fact, a true biological impact on the offspring of those who have been exposed to trauma, that there are actual modifications in cell function of the offspring of people that have been through trauma. So again, the offspring weren't the one exposed to it, their parent was, and there were actually cell modifications because of it. And I mean, this is not like a new thing, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's as old as time, but it's being regarded a bit differently. Making the connections of past and present and how those shadow parts of our ancestors show up as limitations today in our present lives is actually being looked at in a more scientific way or a more mental health way right now. But I feel like I guess we've always looked at it. We've always kind of been like, well, in some way, as humans, if you think about it, we've always sought out to make peace with the people from the past who are us, but never directly met us. And these people have such influence on us now, and maybe their stories can help us understand this ancestral link we carry today, because a lot of who they were resides in how we were raised and taught. So if you just think about like cultural holidays like Dia de los Muertos or All Saints Day or Memorial Day or just any holiday as a culture, Passover, like you remember the ones who were lost as a way to connect. It's kind of like, let's remember the traumas and the stories and the people from the past to connect to us today. It's a link which brings us comfort. And I think it's more than just comfort. I feel like it's this biological need that merges with this spiritual to heal, to understand it a little better. There is a need to heal from the energetic patterns which disrupt our current lives. And that's where this work comes in. You may have noticed people, maybe even yourself, going down rabbit holes on like Ancestor.com. This is a real yellow person thing. Yellow-blue people do this. Getting their DNA checked or evaluated, all their documents. Oh, look at this picture. I found this. There's some feeling of, answers there, some link to who am I now? And in a way, yes, there are. It's like invisible threads which hold information, not just genetically, but spiritually. Because in those threads of DNA, like a spiritual DNA exists. And there's thousands of stories, adaptations, traumas, lessons, all in there. And they touch you in the tiniest ways. There is a name for it now. It's ancestral lineage healing or ancestral healing. And what I just love that the purpose can be probably understood nowadays by not just people who are just spiritual. With this like more scientific evidence, it's getting a little bit more, I guess, accredited or explored. It's getting backed up. And so these practices that a lot of cultures and people's always understood on some level is now being, backed up by science, by mental health research. Even Prince Harry mentioned it in a recent podcast he was on about how the hurts of his parents hurt him, and ancestral trauma. And, ooh, what's that? Everyone, buzzword, But it's not new. It's been going on. It's just, we're going to, I guess, look at it seriously now. But it's not like we've all known about it. It's just a spotlight's on it, which is good. And in the road to healing, I feel, is going to be more spiritual than medical. I feel like now that we are starting to look at this ancestral trauma and this and that, they're going to have obviously mental health approaches to it. But I really feel like it's calling for more of an awakening of people's spirituality and their connection with self and spirit to heal it rather than other things. Now, here's the thing. In many cases, again, I am not a professional. And sometimes these things with ancestral trauma, just like in the actual studies where offspring do have actual issues because of the trauma their forebears were exposed to, these are real problems that can develop that need real medications and real professional help. I'm a strong advocate for all those things. But also there can be work that we can all do in a spiritual way to connect with the trauma in ourselves, the ones linked to our energy on the other side, and ask for that energy to be known to us so as to understand it better. I always like to say, when you name something, it loses its power over you. So naming it, seeing it for what it is, and how it connects to you is such a powerful tool. Ancestral healing does that. So what is all this? Just take a moment and maybe list at some point all the things that have happened in your family tree as far back as like what you can remember. And then if you can ask somebody, that helps too. Poverty, discrimination, abuse, addiction, genocide, mental illness. I mean, think about who raised you, who raised them, who raised them. The patterns of these people and what happened to them are important. They didn't go anywhere. You can find the links. It's like a puzzle to you today in the patterns of just speaking and how you were raised and the family dysfunction and just all sorts of stuff. Think about all the things that created these energetic patterns of like secrets or fear, hatred, isolation, insecurity, interconnectedness, nosiness. And know that these patterns act as magnets, really, for more of the same to come and find you. So you got to find these patterns, see what they are, see how they've been passed down, why, so that you can kind of clear out your own life from it and choose what you want and let go of what you don't. Now, this is just back to my disclaimer. I'm making wide, sweeping generalizations here. So for each one of you, this will be a very different story of what your ancestral trauma looks like. There are situations you cannot fix. Just like I said, if you're in the middle of something, okay, that's life. You're surviving. You can't fix that. Things happen to people. But, for example, like we see racism so prevalent in our country. Like if you're a minority, that's not something you can change. Like when you go out and you're a person of color, like the trauma is continuing to happen to you. And you can't like turn that off. But maybe the point's not to change it right now with ancestral trauma, like in your own work, because that would be too overwhelming and you don't have the control to do that. That's a sad reality of where we're at. But the point is to see at least where it touches you, really touches you. See where it touches, I guess, just your relationships with other people, your self-talk. If you have children, how it touches your parenting, see it. Maybe you can't fix it, but you could change the language around it, speak to it differently in some small way, some very small way, which maybe won't be felt for 2, 3, 4, or 5 generations after. I mean, that's an investment into the future for people who come after you. That's an investment that people in the past tried to make for you, and it's one you can make now. And sometimes it's very, I don't know. I mean, do you find it sad in a way? Because sometimes, I guess like just having children myself, I want a better life for them than I had. And I think that's, I mean, if you're from normal parents, that seems to be kind of like, I guess, the human condition. Like, I just want to make it better for them. Even though I know that maybe it won't be 100% for me, I want to make it a little better for them. And that's what this healing ancestral trauma is too. It's like, how can I work on myself to make it a little better for them? And maybe that little change is all you can do right now, but a little bit of control, a little bit of power can help. All right. The point is to take these lessons and try to make them wisdom, formed wisdom with words and a backstory and language which expresses them. And this is so our bodies don't express them in illness or mental health crises. This is so that we give the people after us language to express it themselves, and then the people who come after that. Sometimes it's not even fixing it. It's just like the ability to identify it. The ability to, hey kids, this is what ancestral trauma is. Like, let's at least have open discussions about how our patterns affect the next generation. You can't fix it, but let's talk about how it's affecting us, that. There is a need to turn the pain and sacrifice from the ones who came before us into blessings, in a way. Those lessons that they learned into wisdom. That's how you honor them. Hey, this happened so we could be here today. See the power in that? You can take a trauma and you can say, this is what their pain and suffering did for us. Wow. Now what are you going to do for the future? It just gives back a little bit of control in this generational line where once someone ripped it away from them, and maybe you to honor them can take a tiny bit back. The interconnectedness of this is vital. We see individual family traumas, in a microcosm, and then you just see the contributions of that to society as a whole on the macrocosm. I mean, you just look societal issues. All it is just a symptom of each little individual family cell it begins at home, right? It begins in you. There is light working here. This is light working. This is, we shine light on the unsaid, the shadowed stuff, the stuff that gets buried. We have to shine light on that stuff. That is divine. There is a divine force which wants you to look back, shine light on it, give words to it, put it out in the open, and then move forward. So how do we start to heal? Okay. So here's just some little ways that you can do to kind of deep dive into healing or looking at or becoming aware of your own ancestral trauma. All right. So first of all, it's not necessary to get super invested in the actual history of your family. Like I said, yellow and blue people are already there. They have their Ancestry.com family trees all out, they're good. They're like little memory keepers. But sometimes there are limits to this depending on the records kept, or even sometimes the culture you're looking into. A lot of times I know with Black people, they don't have, it's such a privilege to even get information about your family. That can be painful. If you've been adopted, or sometimes you just don't know your birth families for lots of different reasons, that can be very painful too. So you're not limited to the literal history of your family, okay? It doesn't mean you can't get in touch with the same trauma, though. And sometimes our own trauma is something that we need to come to peace with too. So as not to pass that down. Just a little thing about let's say you don't know your birth family or you're adopted. The way that I see it is you do have the birth family does affect you. What they went through does affect you 100%. So that's kind of hard if you don't exactly know what went on, but that's when you got to kind of listen to your gut. And that's when you kind of have to even be at peace with not knowing in a way, or not even be at peace, just confront that, whatever that makes you feel not to know. That's important. So like I said, sometimes it's not always finding the answer. It's looking at the question. Looking at the question can be very painful. And we as humans, we always need an answer. I think, it's in our brain. It's this biological need. Even if it's not the right answer, we need an answer. You can let that go. You don't always need an answer. You can just look at the question. Be I understand the question. I have that question. Might not get answered, but I have it. And then you also have the ancestral trauma of the family or situation that raised you as well. So it's kind of a double thing. It's just in readings, I get both. So, okay. First off, here's one of the first things you can do. A lot of ancestral trauma boils down to your own limitations. There are things that you don't even dare to dream. Oof. There are things you don't dare to dream. So go there. What are those things? Could be lots of different, it could be very, and don't worry about how superficial that is. Okay. Cause I think the first thing there's I don't know, you watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians and they go on some amazing vacation. It's I can't even dare to dream to go to that resort. That's a very superficial thing. But I think in our daily life, there's those little things. But then in our big lives, it's I really would love to be able to pay for my children's education. But I probably won't be able to do it. You know what I mean? That, so there's kind of the easy ones to go against. And then there's the sadder, harder ones to go against. Go for, so sometimes we start with the superficial because you got to ease into it. And then you can go into the harder, kind of sadder, kind of tougher ones. Be patient with yourself, guys. This is a lot. That's the other thing. And I'm feeling it as I do this podcast. Man, and sometimes, this is weird. This is why I think time's not real. Okay, I'm sounding crazy. Because sometimes when I'm doing the podcast, I get like one of these recordings, I get really, really intense energy over me. I'm feeling you all listening to it, but you haven't listened to it yet as I say this. So I feel like so if you have to take a break, because this is a lot of information and it can be kind of triggering. So I just want giving you all love. You're good. Take a break if you have to. Okay, but back to what I was saying. Yeah. So what are those things that you don't even dare to dream? It doesn't mean they're going to happen. It just means that you have to confront them head on. And listen, yes, this can feel cruel almost to do to yourself. But what are the things you want to do but can't? When you go up against this, it's painful and it can be disappointing, but it's also very revealing because even if you cannot fix it, you can see it and make peace with it. The blocks to wanting it are the wounds, not the fact you aren't getting it. Ooh, I'm going to read that again. The blocks to wanting it are the wounds, not the fact that you aren't getting it. So many of us try not to want things to avoid the disappointment. But that not wanting it, that's a huge block. And a lot of that is generational trauma. For example, you want to live in a better place. You know, you want to have better opportunities for the people in your life. Say it out loud. You know, some people, like, nobody in their family graduated high school. Sometimes nobody went to college. You know, things like that. Someone's got to do it. Someone down the line has to do it. Little things like that. Eventually, someone's going to do it, and you just put the energy into it. You know, you got to dream it. You got to feel it. Manifesting gets a little mushed in here with this. In my empath manifestation episode, I said that you don't get exactly what you want all the time, but your life does get better when you dare to dream and you start visualizing it and you confront that and you just kind of put it out there. So with that in your heart, please dare to dream. Because, like I said, confronting it and sitting with it is the point, not if you get it or not. That doesn't matter. It's just sitting with it. Okay, another thing you can do. You can speak to your ancestors. So many cultures do this. Calling the ones you knew into your space, it's very helpful. You know, growing up Catholic, we would go in and light a candle for somebody. You know, it's just a nice thing to do. And what it really is a symbolic connection to them. So think about somebody you were close to who's passed. Think about that person. That person had to have family. Think about the family of that person that you love. Maybe this is family you might not have ever known. It doesn't matter. If you know, grandma was close to you, and you know, her sister is, or her mother, and all them, they love you too. Call their energy to you. And maybe put a picture of her in your mind, or maybe put out, you know, a little something to remember this person by. Depending on what works for you, really. You know, you can make an altar, you know, pictures, little remembrances. If that brings you joy, do it. If not, nature. Nature works great. Maybe a little garden. Maybe just sitting out there. Maybe just calling to them in your heart. Asking them to come. Just wondering about them. These are all ways to bring these people in. Having your little ancestral team around you. They love to be remembered, and they come through for you. The next thing is thinking about your family patterns. So here's another way. How was your family always different from others? Was it their lying, cheating, stealing? Was everyone super nosy? Was there some sort of weird issue with conflict, addictions, abuse? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were fine. They were just a little needy or this way or that way. You know, there's always something. Good or bad, see the patterns. It's something... it's something we tend to notice best in our teen years. It's harder to see as you get older, honestly. If you have a question about what the dysfunction in your family is exactly, what these ancestral patterns and traumas are, I need you to go ask your 16-year-old self why you were embarrassed of your family. Just go into your inner 16-year-old and be like, why didn't you want your boyfriend or girlfriend over? Go ahead. What were you scared of? Right there. Oh, your 16-year-old's got things to say. They will tell you. It is all there. Let that 16-year-old you speak. Preach it. Preach. That 16-year-old self is going to preach. I'll tell you, that version of you knew a lot more than you gave yourself credit for. They saw all the trauma. They just couldn't name it exactly. You know, when you're around that age, that's when you're still trying to fight all this stuff. You know, that's an age when you see it and you differentiate it from it and you're constantly like going against the wind all the time. You go against it. And then, I don't know, you get older and then you start to, it's like those, which was it, progressive commercials? I don't know. Like you start to become them. It's really freaking scary. So you got to go back to 16-year-old self and ask them, why was I embarrassed of my family? Why didn't I want people over? And I mean, sometimes it's funny, you know, it's kind of funny, but it can be like really upsetting too. Like, why didn't I want somebody over? What was going to happen? Sometimes it's scary. I mean, those are very revealing. I love that exercise because you're going to hear a lot from your 16-year-old self. Another thing to do the deep dive. Oh, truth, man. We avoid it. Our egos are like allergic to it. We don't want that. Well, deep dive it. Health issues. Let's start there. What are they really about? I find in readings that your body loves a metaphor, all right? You don't say it, you don't speak it aloud, you don't self-advocate, your body's going to start talking. So let's say you have tummy issues. And I have to do my disclaimer. Obviously, it's not anybody's fault that they get sick, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying these are things that I do see. Energetic correspondence with trauma. All right. Tummy issues. What information are you having a hard time digesting in your life? Neck issues. What truths from your head won't reach your heart? Back issues. Who are you always trying to stand up straight for or please all the time? Autoimmune issues. Whose pain are you still hiding? Whose shame have you been holding? A lot of shame in family trauma, ancestral trauma. That shame gets passed down. Money, all sorts of stuff. Disordered eating issues. What are you trying to control outside of you, which did not work? Then go outward. Relationship issues. Repetitive problems with friends, coworkers, family, authority. Repetitive patterns in your own life. Go there. Get truthful. Let yourself hear it out. That is not an easy process. That is a lifelong journey. We're like all currently doing this now. What's interesting is if you start kind of doing the ancestral deep dive, the ancestral trauma deep dive, it's interesting how that stuff, it's just a new light, a new filter being shown upon the stuff that you're already kind of working on. So it can give you kind of like a different perspective and it can kind of approach it from a new angle. So be prepared for this to be a little heavy. Because you might start seeing things like, they might hit you kind of like, oof, okay, I did not see that coming, and now I do, and I have to sit with that. You know, and finally, you have to ongoingly engage in your own healing. I mean, this is a huge part of being spiritually awakened, knowing that your family contributes to your own present issues. This is not supposed to be a cop-out. It's a personal responsibility. You can't be a victim of it, okay? I mean, at one point you may have been a victim, but moving forward, this can't be like an excuse. You have to see it and take power from it, not persecution. But like I said, that's a very broad way to describe it because there is no way in this one episode I can touch on every single trauma there is. That's for you to see and work through independently. Because when I say something like that, like you're not a victim, like some people are constantly re-victimized. Especially, I want to be sensitive at this time to people of color who are dealing with, you know, discrimination, racism, hatred in our society. Because the thing is some of us can't, like I said, hide the things that are going to attract the patterns of trauma over and over again. I mean, they go out to the grocery store and here's ancestral trauma being created as they shop. You know, so I'm not bypassing that. I'm not. And that's, like I said, this is one episode and there's probably no way I could cover all. I just wanted to give you the broad explanation. All right. So I just want to make sure I'm sensitive to everybody and they understand that. Yeah, this is something which is real and prevalent. And like I said, contributing to trauma today for their own and your own and everybody's future generations. And I don't want anything. This isn't like spiritual bypassing. And what that is like when you ignore something, like with a sweeping, like, oh, just, you know, get centered and find your center and talk to your spirit guides and manifest. And it's all okay. It's like we can't like do that, you know, because society exists. It's like something we live in all the time. Unless we're going to go off the grid, we're going to be re-traumatized by it. And there's some people that get re-traumatized more often than others. But I do feel that there are many movements and truths and solidarity being formed now with words and voices and actions, which are a way to heal the future. You know, not today, not tomorrow. Sometimes you watch the news, you're like, will this ever get fixed? I mean, I feel like humans, we are trauma. I mean, that is our pattern. It's not any different now than it was hundreds of years ago. You know what I mean? If you think about it. So all we can do is hope. That's all we can do. And I feel like hope is in our DNA too. And hope is in our ancestral lineage too. Hope. That's in those spiritual ties which always bind us to the ones who came before. It's hope. And you have to have that. You have to. Because as long as this goes on, something else has to be passed down too. And it's that we can make it better. And we can be better. And then we can pay it forward. and help other people's be better. I want to hear your thoughts on this. It's a lot. It's a lot to digest. I'm giving you all love right now. Oh, I hope you feel it. And wherever you are, I feel like I touched on a lot of different places you could be at with this. And wherever you are right now, you're doing so good. You're doing so good. And I want to hear from you.
Wow. Okay. So that was really interesting. And that was really, I learned a tremendous amount today.
Cool.
So if you had to actually go back to your 16-year-old self, to 16-year-old Meggie.
Yes.
What would 16-year-old Meggie say about your family?
Oh, my God. I think I'd be scared. Well, my mom was like a psychic, was a psychic. So it was like kind of weird bringing people over. And then there was just like a lot of like, I think that's like generational shame and the whole psychic thing. Even today that I'm really trying to deal with, because that was like a big thing growing up. Like, don't tell anybody, like that.
Yeah.
And then, so like when you brought people over and there were like crystals all over the dining room table and, there's like people waiting outside in their cars. And I had more than one occasion, like where my teenager friends were like, why are these people coming in and out of your house? Like, why can't we go in the house right now? Because there were no cell phones back then. Why can't we go in the house right now? Why do we have to wait out here? Why can't, it was like, and I wasn't allowed to tell anybody, which kind of like made me have to lie to people, which was like really uncomfortable. So I learned to deal with stuff that's uncomfortable. You lie and just like, but that goes back.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of stuff. Oh my God.
Wow. Yeah.
It's too much to get into.
It is a lot.
That would be the first thing that she said.
Just if you want to take it literally, I just remember your home being like a place for antiques to just live. So ancestrally, it looked like you had relics from from years back.
That's a whole other thing.
That's a whole
it's
other
like
thing,
the hoarding issue.
Yeah.
But that's like,
oh my God.
I lightly scratched thy surface.
Look, if we ever. And this is just to be
not
funny
even joking.
here.
Like I laugh, but it's like really dramatic. Like I could go deep.
No. And I don't want to make light of anything, but now it's time. I think we need to let off some steam and goof around.
Yes.
But I just want to say, if we ever get the courage, and we ever really want to relive the most traumatic moment of our life, is when your parents met my parents.
Honestly,
that might be the most traumatic.
I can't even think about I'm speechless. Nobody would believe it.
I'm shutting down.
I am too. Nobody would believe it.
It was horrible.
Like I'd be afraid to do it on the podcast because police might get involved.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not even joking.
Yeah, just. I don't know if you guys know what the Dukes of Hazzard is, but my dad just turned into one of the members and like jumped through the car window. Like I can't even go there. All right.
We have to. Stop.
Justine is going to save us.
Okay, Justine.
All right. So Justine is a member of the Mystic Michaela spiritual family. And she came up with an idea on the page. She put up a post, and this is what it said. Quick, what's in your Amazon cart right now? And what are your aura colors? Or suspected aura colors if you don't know them. Can you tell? So they wanted us to kind of figure out, based on what's in your Amazon cart, the things that you have not yet purchased. I guess they're waiting.
They linger. Lingering things. You haven't bit the bullet on it yet. You haven't pressed the buy now.
Right.
What does it say about you?
What does it say about you? What are the possible colors? Okay, so
That's such a great idea, Justine.
All right, so I guess let's take Justine first because she started it off. All right, so Justine has two things in the cart. She has the Housewives activity book for real fans, volume 1 by Caroline.
Volume 2?
They got like this sold enough to get to a volume 2.
Whoa.
Okay.
Or they were like presumptive enough to name volume 1. Like as if there would be a volume 2.
Right. So we got this Real Housewives book.
Okay.
And then we have rollerblades.
Okay.
Pro XT Women's Adult Fitness.
What color are they?
They are black and looks like black and pink or black and red.
Okay.
All right,
well, I already know her aura color, so that's not fair.
Okay. Well, what would a typical person with those?
I mean, I would say purple.
Purple. Yeah, purple. Obviously purple.
We have like the purple elements to it.
Yeah.
Rollerblades, it's like working out, but like if you don't really want to feel like you're working out, you want to feel like you're 6. So that's like a purple thing too. Mm-hmm. I know that she's turquoise though.
Right.
So,
yeah. All right. So
she's purple turquoise. So that's funny though.
Okay.
I like that. I like the artistic. A lot of purple there. A lot of purple.
Is there any way I can get this Housewives book out of your cart? Like if I've been pushing the picture to try to delete it and it doesn't work.
She likes it. Give her your activity book.
All right. I wonder which. Maybe
there's
it's like
word searches in there. Like, what do you do?
I don't
funny.
know. Like how to flip a table. What is in there? Like how to yell at your best friend.
How to be over 40 and have like really petty arguments with another over 40-year-old.
Right. How to promote like your skinny drink,
How to be like a singer on display.
On display. Yeah. I don't know how to dress up your dog funny. I mean, there's so many ways we could go here.
We can just keep going.
Yeah.
How to look different with plastic surgery, like completely different.
Right. I mean, there's 1,000 jokes we can go on.
So many jokes.
It'd be
so many jokes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Laurel writes, she does tell her aura colors, but let's see what she has in the cart. Okay. She has, I don't know what this is. Advanced cupping therapy sets.
Oh, gosh.
Edge Flex silicone vacuum suction.
She's turquoise, right? Come on.
Yeah, she's a turquoise yellow.
You should be explaining these, not me. It's just that was so blatantly turquoise.
Okay. Then we have
home cupping. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's the Michael Phelps did it. Remember?
Oh.
And then you get bruises on your back.
Okay.
It's like I don't know what it does because I don't like bruises on my back, but apparently it's very healing for you. It like releases, I don't know, pressure points.
I thought it was actually because like the next two items this is where I thought they were for. I thought, okay. The next one is women's sexy scoop neck razorback tank.
Oh.
Top button down stretchy.
Okay.
And a woman's solid color V-neck lace up one-piece swimsuit. So I thought those cupping things go into the suits.
To do what?
Well, like I guess back in high school, people used to use like tissues.
Oh, like to enhance?
Yeah.
Oh, she's like a grown woman. She doesn't care.
Well, okay. Well, that's what they look like. They're these little blue things.
Did you do that, Scott? Did you put tissues in places to enhance?
I did.
Stop it.
Yeah. I did. Yeah, no, I did. That's true. It's true. No cap? Was it cap? No cap?
Cap. I'll let you figure it out.
I forgot which
we're just going to let you sit there. We're going to let you sit there and make us all wonder if that's true or not.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on from Laurel. Okay. All right. Okay. Our next one is from Brittany. Mm-hmm. All right. Brittany has, let's see. She has the Eva New York City Gotta Bounce Curl Defining Cream, the 8.5 fluid ounces.
Nice.
I feel like David from QVC. She also has the Eva New York City Just Glisten Hair Body Shine Mist, 4.3 fluid ounces. And the Eva New York City Main Magic 10-in-1 Primer, 6 fluid ounces.
It's a hot girl summer over there happening.
Yeah, and they're all $11. So,
wow.
Okay. This to me, she tells us her aura colors. Purple.
Yes,
I
would say that's very purple.
Yeah, that's total.
And she's just ready to go out now.
She's ready to go.
She's going to get curly and eyeliner and glowy.
Yes.
She's just ready.
Okay.
Love that.
All right. We have Simi.
Okay.
And she has on pre-order the Mystic Michaela Angel number book.
Oh,
so of course I had to pick that one. Actually, a lot of people had that in their carts.
That's very sweet.
When I was going through those. And she also has the Rose Quartz Resin Pigment Powder for her art.
Nice. So that's pretty. Oh, resin art. Oh, resin art is so pretty.
Yeah. Really cool.
You don't know what that is.
No, I have no idea what that is. What's resin art?
You can't even lie. You're like, yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. I love resin art. I have that picture up hanging in the wall on our wall.
Yeah, the resin art.
Yeah, the resin art.
All right, so she's an artist.
She tells us the aura colors, but this is a purple indigo, 100% all the way.
Yeah, she's home, she's painting, and she's reading about angel numbers.
Yeah,
she's resin arting.
Yes.
Reading out angel numbers.
Yes, definitely. All right, next one we have Sophia, and she's also confirmed. So all these people that have been doing it are confirmed, and they have been telling. All right, let's see. She's got a lot in the cart here.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so a lot in the cart first tells you right off the bat, probably like a pink or something. All right, we have.
Just like shopping spree.
Yes. Okay, this is a really weird combo here coming up.
What's her name again?
Sophia.
Sophia, okay.
Okay. We have the complete guide to astrology.
Yes.
I don't see the Mystic Michaela Spiritual Family, the numbers book in here. Sophia, you might want to explain that to us.
Stop.
The Fifth Agreement, a practical.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Yep. Women's padded sports bra.
Okay.
BPA free 12-piece 11-inch like sticks. I don't know. Oh, straws. These are straws.
Sticks.
I was getting really weird here.
Okay.
A 5-pack of women's mid-cushion socks.
Oh.
And an extra wide Hamilton toaster. Okay, so
she's making toast. She likes padding.
Okay, she's got padding.
She likes like padded socks, padded bras.
She's into the astrology, obviously, not into the angel numbers.
She doesn't like to, I think there's a mouth sensitivity issue, which I have that too, where you don't like to like drink directly from the cup when it's cold. I understand that.
Yes.
That's empath stuff.
This is, I mean, this is clearly someone that has more than 2 aura colors.
She wants to kind of hang out at home.
Right.
Be comfortable, learn about the stars.
Right.
I forget what else was in there. I stopped at the padded socks.
Okay.
Remembering things.
Yeah. You got the toaster, the socks,
toaster. She's eating toast.
The straws, the padded bra, the practical book on magic or something, the astrology book, and the lack of the numbers book by Mystic Michaela. So
what's her aura colors?
Pink, purple, and indigo.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that was an easy one.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, you might even want to throw in another color.
That makes sense because like pink people can have their own fun time with themselves.
Okay.
It's true. They play well by themselves.
The next one is from Montana.
Okay.
And I will have you know, I know her. She is not from Montana.
Right. Yeah, she's in one of the groups.
She's one in the MM
and you always
discussion
bother
groups.
her.
And I do always
like you
bother
just
her.
assume she lives in Montana.
Yes. I always ask her too. Are you from Montana?
Where is she, Canada or something?
I think she's from Canada.
Yeah.
All right.
The other coast, yeah.
Yeah. All right. We have 3 things in the carts.
Okay.
Inspired socks that say, please do not disturb.
People love socks.
We have a star projector.
Oh, those are nice.
3-in-1 ocean wave projector, star sky nightlight.
I want one of those, God.
And yummy. Okay, we'll put it in the cart.
I'm putting it in the cart.
Okay, put it in the cart.
I'm just going to look at it for a few weeks. I never order these things. I just look at them.
And then we have a Yummy Earth organic lollipop, assorted flavors.
Really?
50 count by Yummy Earth.
She's got a sweet tooth, but she also respects herself.
Okay, so she got the socks.
Yeah.
She's got the star thing.
It sounds like an indigo situation.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is she?
Purple. She's purple turquoise.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the lollipops, that sounds purplish, right? Have all
I don't know. It sounded like it's very self-contained fun.
Self-contained fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Our next one. Okay, let's see what we have here. Also, she does give the aura colors.
Okay.
We have a 3-pack inflatable pool water hammock lounges.
Okay.
So kind of like inner tubes, whatever.
All right.
This one came out a little blurry, so it's hard for me to read. We have a panini maker to make gourmet sandwiches.
That's important.
Yes. And a flowy shirt. That's interesting. Okay, so we got
There's a practical, but the panini maker is practical.
It is.
Yet not. I feel like panini makers are the impractical thing to get, but
Well, she's purple blue.
Yeah.
So I would say, you get the flowy shirt and lounging in the pool floaties.
Yeah.
And then maybe she wants to cook for her family after.
Because she's blue.
And that would make sense. The purple blue makes sense.
Okay.
That does, yeah.
We could by the way,
yes.
I feel like for any of these, we could make a case for any aura color.
Okay.
Except green.
Right. Yeah, we haven't had any green here.
Yeah, the green. Oh, I'd love to. Oh, green people carts.
Okay.
That would be funny.
Now, this
one. Just hoses.
Green people. Yeah, we should ask
nuts
for,
and bolts.
We didn't get any green people. Yeah.
Like a wrench.
All right.
But green women would be more, I have no time. Green women would be more they'd have more really smart people books. All right, go on.
Now, this one is from Shelby. We also know Shelby. She does.
Shelby.
Yes, Shelby.
Does our great graphics.
Now, this one scares me a little bit.
Oh.
Okay. So
Shelby is
the first one we have is a Little Me Big Dreams journal.
Okay.
Draw, write, and color this journal. Little People Big Dreams. Okay. All right. That by its own
That's fine.
Seems fairly normal.
All right. So it's a journal that you color in.
Yeah, I think where you want to talk about your big dreams.
That's okay. It's manifesting.
Perfect. Okay. But then the next one is a hot dog designed costume.
For her dog or something?
Well, is it? I mean, it's a pet. It does say pet costume. It is a Halloween Christmas apparel cosplay for puppies and kittens.
Okay.
But it looks rather large, like a very long hot dog.
So you think it's for her?
So I'm thinking,
what you're trying to say?
Yeah. Now she claims it's for even when she wrote, she ended up getting the hot dog outfit for her cats. She's going to post pics for proof.
Oh, because you didn't believe her?
Yeah, because it looks human sized, and I think this is for Shelby to dress up in a hot dog costume
and color.
And color.
Whatever gets you through the day.
Or she wants to write about her big dreams of being a hot dog.
Like go to Comic Cosplay Con as a hot dog.
Yeah.
There might be a whole thing there for people.
Yeah.
That they're into something with that.
So
like hot dog cosplay.
She's a yellow indigo, but
no, I can see yellow indigos definitely dressing up their cats.
Yeah.
Yes.
With full life-size hot dog costumes.
We're
all right.
It amuses us.
All right.
It amuses us.
All right, Shelby, but we're watching you. You know what? Hey, this is what I got to do. I'm going into your Amazon cart.
It's a lot of Cetaphil.
Okay. Let me go into there
Cetaphil.
and see what we have. Okay. Oh, my God. All right, this is your Amazon cart. King Sky men's...
You're making this up.
No, sexy pouch, G-string underwear, sexy low-rise bulge thong underwear. Mystic Michaela, why is that
long is
in your
that
cart?
title?
It's very long. They got a lot of reviews, 1,000 reviews.
It's a shared cart, Scott.
What?
Yeah, we share this cart, you and I.
Oh, yeah.
We share a cart. That's what happens when you get married
so
for this long. We end up sharing a cart.
So you're saying I put those in there? Why would I put bulge thong underwear?
To stuff tissues in.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to tell you something. It wasn't me. I know who did it.
Who?
It was Petro Hanchar.
Damn him.
Yeah. He was doing things on Tinder the other night.
Damn Petro.
Yeah. He's a Tinder star. What can you do?
He can't help it.
Yeah, he can't help it.
On that note.
Yes.
Thank you all for hanging out with us today. This podcast is for you and about you. And I wish you all the best. Take care.
If you want to be the most interesting person at the cocktail party, well, hop on over and listen to the Brain Candy podcast.
Our award-winning content will have you laughing while you're learning.
We read all the best articles, books, and studies and keep up with new TV shows, documentaries, and pop culture. And then we cram it all into 2 shows a week.
Conspiracy theories, cannibal rabbits, unsolved mysteries, the history of the Walkman. There's something for everyone.
The Brain Candy podcast. Find our link in the show notes.
Or simply search for the Brain Candy podcast on your podcast app.